You know, if you've ever stood near a massive suspension bridge during a severe windstorm, you witness this, like, truly incredible physical phenomenon.
Oh, yeah. It's terrifying.
Right. The whole structure sways, it groans, the steel cables literally vibrate, the concrete and the metal are stretching to their absolute limits just to, absorb the energy of the storm.
It's wild to watch.
It is. It looks like the whole thing should just snap right under the pressure, but, well, mostly it holds.
Yeah, and it holds because it is explicitly engineered to handle that tension. But, there's always a breaking point.
Yeah.
There's always this moment, like a specific threshold of stress, where a system simply cannot absorb any more external force without, well, changing its fundamental structure.
Exactly. And that swaying bridge just kept flashing in my mind today.
Yeah.
Because that is exactly what reading today's stack of global data felt like. We are pulling from the August 5th, 2026 edition of the Daily Tech Reader, and we're watching the global economy, our tech infrastructure, and, our actual planet just stretched to their absolute limits. So welcome to today's deep dive.
Yeah, today's sources really all point to this singular fascinating theme, which is tension and tipping points.
Yeah.
Every single story we are unpacking involves a vital system being pushed right to the edge, forcing us to see how it responds under extreme duress.
So let's start right at the center of the macro level tension. The engine of the economy itself. Because the data we're looking at today is raising some pretty serious alarms for you and everyone else paying attention.
It really is.
The July ADP jobs report just dropped, and the private sector added only 44,000 jobs.
Yeah, which is...
Just to put that in perspective for you, the estimate was 70,000. It missed by a mile.
Right.
Making it the weakest reading since January.
Yeah.
But beneath that top-line number, there's this really severe split. Healthcare basically carried almost all the gains, while the goods-producing sectors actively bled jobs.
Yeah, and the underlying mechanics of that split are what you really need to pay attention to here. Because goods-producing sectors, like manufacturing, they're incredibly capital-intensive.
Right.
They rely super heavily on borrowing money to build factories, move inventory, all that. So with borrowing costs remaining high, those companies are aggressively cutting headcount just to survive.
Makes sense.
But healthcare, on the other hand, is driven by the sheer demographic reality of an aging population. So it's largely insulated from, the Fed's interest rates.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because looking at this severe split in the data, is the broader economy just gently tapping the brakes to avoid overheating, or did the manufacturing sector literally just run out of gas completely?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, this ADP report turns Friday's official Bureau of Labor Statistics payroll report into the ultimate tipping point.
Okay.
That upcoming BLS report is now like the single most critical data point for the Federal Reserve to determine the actual scale of the September rate cuts. If the broader BLS data mirrors the ADP's manufacturing weakness, it signals a systemic cooling that requires, well, immediate intervention. But we have this bizarre paradox happening simultaneously.
Right.
While the macroeconomy looks like it's cooling down, specific corporate microeconomies are just running white hot.
Oh, the contrast in the data is so jarring. Look at Shopify.
Yeah.
They just crushed their Q2 estimates with a 34% surge in revenue, hitting $3.58 billion. And their gross merchandise volume, the total value of goods sold by merchants using their platform was $115.6 billion.
It's massive.
Yeah, that does not look like a consumer base out of gas at all.
No, but you have to remember Shopify operates as like the digital plumbing for modern retail.
Right.
For a merchant, keeping your digital storefront running is a non-discretionary cost.
Yeah.
You basically pay Shopify before you pay almost anything else.
Oh, true.
And that creates incredible resilience in their revenue, even if the underlying labor market is softening.
And the stock market is reflecting this exact split personality right now. We saw a completely mixed trading day.
Yeah, totally all over the place.
The Dow jumped 388 points, basically riding entirely on NVIDIA's momentum, while the NASDAQ slipped 0.45% as broader tech selling resumed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you happened to pick the wrong individual stock, you just got hammered by sudden reality checks. Like Insulet plunged 17% after cutting the outlook for their U.S. Omnipod medical sales, and CDLB dropped 12.8% on margin compression and an executive departure.
Yeah, and that margin compression is a perfect example of internal corporate tension.
How so?
Well, it happens when a company's operating costs go up, say due to inflation or labor, but they can't raise prices on their customers anymore without losing the business.
Ah, right.
So the profit margin in the middle simply gets squashed. If you are sitting there wondering why your personal portfolio might feel incredibly volatile right now while the headline market indexes look perfectly fine, this is the exact mechanism at play. The broad averages are completely masking this intense, extreme volatility at the individual company level.
And, that economic stress test is playing out in the political arena as well. The internal mechanics of our political systems are just being tested for structural weaknesses everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. We saw a real-time example of that stress test yesterday in a Michigan Democratic Senate primary.
We did. Progressive physician Dr. Abdul El Sayed defeated the establishment candidate, Representative Haley Stevens.
Right.
And this was heavily watched because it functioned as like a pure mechanical test of voter mobilization between the insurgent progressive wing and the traditional establishment wing of the party.
Yeah, and the data from that primary offers a really fascinating look at political infrastructure.
How so?
Because it was less about overarching ideology and much more about the raw mechanics of turnout.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, El Sayed's ground game effectively bypassed traditional media channels. He relied heavily on hyper-localized, decentralized campaign nodes to turn out younger voters. And he's now moving forward to face Republican Mike Rogers in November, which makes Michigan the definitive battleground for Senate control.
It's all about the mechanics. And zooming out from domestic political mechanics, the geographic mechanics of the global economy are facing their own extreme tension points today.
Oh, definitely.
Specifically, the Strait of Hormuz. Axios is reporting that the U.S. is targeting a maritime corridor deal literally today, trying to negotiate a safe passage arrangement via Oman.
Right.
But Iranian state media is flatly denying any connection between those Oman talks and actually reopening the strait.
Yeah, and to underline just how volatile that physical corridor remains, a separate incident just saw an Indian-flagged vessel struck and sunk off the coast of Yemen.
Wow. We talk so much about the digital economy, but events like this are such a sharp reminder of our physical vulnerabilities.
Well, because the physical vulnerabilities absolutely dictate the digital realities.
That's a good point.
The Strait of Hormuz is the ultimate physical choke point. You can't run an advanced AI data center without immense amounts of electricity, and the global power grid still heavily relies on the physical transit of liquid energy.
Yeah.
That single stretch of water is the exact reason global oil prices edged higher this week, despite all the broader market uncertainty. When the physical shipping lanes are threatened, every single digital transaction downstream feels the cost.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting, because while nations are battling to secure those physical shipping lanes, the tech giants are spending billions to secure the shipping lanes of the digital age.
Compute power.
Exactly. Anthropic just secured a staggering $10 billion 6-year compute deal with a NVIDIA-backed startup called Volta.
$10 billion solely for the right to process data.
Yeah. We are talking about utilizing a massive 133-megawatt data center located in Norway, powered by NVIDIA's Vera Rubin chips, with the underlying infrastructure delivered by a Bitcoin miner, Bitdeer Technologies.
Right, because compute power is no longer just a resource. It is the fundamental infrastructure of the next decade. Think of it like the shipping containers of the digital age. You can't move goods without cargo ships. And Anthropic essentially just purchased the largest, fastest cargo fleet available to ensure their AI models can continuously train and operate without hitting a bottleneck.
Okay, I do want to push back a little on this narrative of limitless, endless AI expansion, though.
Okay, fair.
Because, yes, the capability race is obviously exploding. Looking at the sidebar news in our Stack OpenAI just launched GPT 5.6, unifying their workspace for enterprise users.
Right.
And over in China, Moonshot's Kimi K3 just matched the frontier U.S. models, completely dominated the top 10 on the OpenRudder benchmarks. But the financial reality of actually running these models is starting to bite back really hard. Have you seen the internal warnings coming out of Microsoft?
Oh, you mean the memo regarding inference costs?
Yes. Microsoft's executive vice president, Jay Parikh, literally had to issue a warning to his software engineers this week about what he called token maxing.
Right. And for those unfamiliar with the term, a token in the AI world isn't a coin. It's basically a fragmented piece of a word, like a few letters or a syllable.
Right.
Large language models process and generate text one token at a time, and cloud providers charge compute costs based on exactly how many tokens are processed.
So when engineers use internal AI tools to write thousands of lines of code or analyze massive data sets, the meter is literally running on every single syllable.
Exactly.
Parikh pointed out that internal staffers are burning hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars a month individually, just in API token usage to do their daily jobs.
Which adds up incredibly fast.
He had to introduce strict division-level budget targets because allowing engineers to maximize token usage without a cap is an incredibly fast way to bankrupt an entire division.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is that we are watching the AI industry transition from the Wild West phase, where it was all about land grabs and limitless spending, into the zoning laws phase.
Oh, I like that. Zoning laws.
Right. The realization has finally hit that compute power is finite and incredibly expensive. Boundaries and guardrails are suddenly being erected everywhere just to manage the tension between capability and cost.
And you see those boundaries being erected on the legal side as well. Just days ago, on August 2nd, the European Union's AI Act enforcement powers officially activated.
That's huge.
It is. Companies operating in Europe now legally have to disclose AI interactions. They're required to label synthetic content in a machine-readable format.
Okay.
That means other software systems can automatically detect if a piece of media or text was generated by an AI, ensuring transparency at a systemic level.
Right, and developers are building their own guardrails, too, entirely independent of government regulation.
Like what's...
Well, the maintainers of the Rust programming language, which, by the way, is a critical pillar in the open source community, just published a formal policy banning AI-generated pull requests.
Wait, really? Because a pull request is basically when a developer submits a proposal to merge their new code into the main project.
Exactly.
So why would Rust ban AI from doing that if the whole goal is to write code faster?
Because of the specific nature of AI hallucinations, large language models are fantastic at generating code that looks syntactically perfect at first glance, but often contains deep structural logical flaws.
Oh, right.
Yeah, in an open source project like Rust, human volunteers have to manually review every pull request, and they are just getting overwhelmed by a flood of AI-generated spam code.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It is. It takes a human reviewer hours to untangle a subtle logical error hallucinated by an AI. So banning it isn't a philosophical stance against AI. It is a mechanical defense against a denial of service attack by mediocrity.
Wow.
They drew a hard line in the sand to protect the bandwidth of their human engineers.
That concept of recognizing structural limits and aggressively shedding what doesn't work is a perfect lens for looking at legacy media right now.
Oh, definitely.
The tech industry is building zoning laws, but the legacy entertainment industry is actively demolishing its own neighborhoods just to survive the transition to digital.
And Disney's latest earnings report is the prime example of that demolition.
Yeah, they just reported their fiscal Q3, and they surprisingly beat expectations. Adjusted earnings per share came in at $2.06 against $1.86 consensus.
Pretty solid.
Right. The entertainment division saw its operating income jump a massive 64%, driven by the theatrical success of Toy Story 5 hitting the billion-dollar mark and the release of The Devil Wears Prada 2.
Yeah.
But the crucial metric is that their streaming profits more than doubled. The direct-to-consumer segment is finally proving it can actually hold onto profitability.
Yeah, but this raises an important question. If your entire corporate survival relies on fortifying streaming and theme parks, how do you handle the legacy assets that are slowly depreciating?
Well, under their new CEO, Josh D'Amaro, Disney just agreed to sell their 50% stake in A+E Global Media to Hearst for $1.2 billion in cash.
Right.
It is essentially a controlled demolition. They are cashing out of the linear television business before the foundation completely crumbles.
Mm-hmm.
And they are taking that $1.2 billion injection to heavily fortify their streaming infrastructure. They're basically like a snake shedding its skin, amputating the past to fund the future.
The pressure to adapt in the corporate world is immense right now, but it still pales in comparison to the extreme physical pressures currently straining our environment and our biology.
The environmental data today is incredibly grim.
It really is.
The wildfires ringing Spokane, Washington have expanded drastically.
Yeah.
Over 700 structures have been destroyed, forcing 67,000 people to evacuate.
Unbelievable.
Authorities have charged a 37-year-old suspect, Aaron Farinacci, with first-degree arson in connection with the Old Trails fire. Yeah, and this is playing out underneath a severe, persistent heat dome. A high-pressure ridge is essentially trapping hot air over the central U.S., baking the plains and driving heat indices up to 105 degrees Fahrenheit in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Right.
The atmospheric pressure is quite literal at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. But while the physical systems of the Earth are straining under that pressure, human science is aggressively engineering solutions to internal biological pressures.
Okay.
So the counter-narrative to all the environmental destruction is the sheer precision of modern biological engineering.
Oh, the chewing gum study we read today is the perfect example of that precision.
Right.
Researchers have successfully engineered a cancer-fighting chewing gum.
It sounds like sci-fi, right?
It does. In clinical studies, this gum reduced human papillomavirus, or HPV, levels in the mouth by up to 93%.
Wow.
Yeah, it nearly eliminated 2 specific oral bacteria that are strongly linked to the development of head and neck cancers.
And the mechanism behind it is what I find truly staggering.
Why is that?
Well, it doesn't just nuke the entire mouth like a broad-spectrum antibiotic would.
Right.
It utilizes specific peptides that bind only to the viral load and targeted bacteria, neutralizing the threat while completely preserving the beneficial oral microbiome.
That's amazing.
It's a highly localized, non-invasive, preventive treatment deployed through something as simple as chewing gum.
And we are seeing that exact same hyper-localized targeting in immunology. Look at the Stanford flatworm study from today's sources.
Oh, yeah.
Stanford researchers discovered a specific class of immune cells in flatworms that act essentially like microscopic perimeter guards.
Okay.
When a foreign pathogen enters the flatworm, these specialized cells detect the threat, rush to the site, and undergo a rapid cellular rupture.
Great.
They essentially explode, like kamikaze cells,
Wow.
neutralizing the surrounding bacteria in minutes, and then they vanish completely.
Which is wild, and the implication for human medicine is profound here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a typical human immune response often triggers systemic inflammation, which can cause massive collateral damage to healthy tissue.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. These flatworm cells demonstrate a mechanism for localized, extreme destruction that clears the infection without triggering a body-wide inflammatory response.
Wow.
If we can reverse engineer that mechanism, it fundamentally changes how we treat localized infections.
So we are engineering biology on a microscopic scale, but we are also leaving our industrial footprint on a cosmic scale.
Yeah, the SpaceX moon crash provides a really vivid illustration of that.
It's nuts. A discarded Falcon 9 upper stage just slammed into the lunar surface at roughly 5,400 miles per hour, impacting right near the Einstein crater.
Yeah, and the impact kicked up a massive plume of lunar dust.
Right.
Within hours, the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope analyzed the light passing through that debris cloud and detected specific chemical signatures: sodium and lithium.
Wait, lithium.
Yeah. Those are the core elements of human battery technology. We are literally embedding the chemical signatures of our industrial era into lunar craters.
That is just wow.
Yeah. The boundary of human influence is no longer confined to the Earth's atmosphere.
Man. Well, let's bring our focus back down to Earth for a moment and look at the immediate horizon. If you are looking at the sports calendar this week, it is pretty much defined by teams locking in their most valuable assets under immense financial pressure.
Oh, for sure.
Bijan Robinson just ended his training camp hold-in by signing a record-shattering $75 million extension with the Atlanta Falcons. It includes $51 million guaranteed, which is the most ever given to a running back.
Which completely resets the market valuation for the position.
Absolutely.
Everyone in the Detroit Lions front office is now closely watching Jahmyr Gibbs to see exactly how his representation leverages that newly established ceiling.
And in international soccer, Mauricio Pochettino just officially signed a new contract to lead the U.S. men's national team all the way through the 2030 FIFA World Cup. The U.S. Federation basically locked him in to ensure stability as they build toward a tournament on home soil. And for your daily viewing, we have a full 15-game Major League Baseball slate today, while NFL training camps are officially entering their padded practice weeks. The contact is getting very real.
Yeah, but, the most spectacular event this week requires you to simply look up. I highly recommend checking out the Argus Skywatch.
Oh, yeah.
We're experiencing a rare astronomical convergence. A solar eclipse and the absolute peak of the annual Perseid meteor shower are occurring on the exact same day.
Wait, why does the timing make such a big difference for the meteor shower?
Well, because the solar eclipse dictates that we are in a new moon phase.
Oh, right.
So there will be zero lunar glare in the night sky. The absence of light pollution from the moon means the sky will be exceptionally dark, allowing even the faintest meteors to be visible.
That's awesome.
Astronomers are predicting this will be one of the most vivid Perseid displays for North American observers in years. It is a moment where cosmic mechanics align perfectly to just offer us a breathtaking view.
So what does this all mean? We have navigated an immense amount of ground today.
We really have.
We started with shrinking manufacturing jobs, masking a surge in e-commerce, examined the physical energy realities, throttling our digital AI ambitions, unpacked the billions being spent on compute tokens, and ended up analyzing flatworm immune systems and lithium dust on the moon.
And it all circles back to that image of the suspension bridge straining in the wind.
Yeah.
Every single story we unpack today is a real-time example of human systems engineering their own evolution under extreme pressure.
It really is.
We are synthesizing chewing gum that rewrites our oral biology to prevent cancer. We're deploying AI models that can analyze our software while simultaneously building complex zoning laws to prevent those models from breaking our open source infrastructure. We are leaving the chemical signatures of our batteries in lunar craters. Our footprint is no longer just physical. It is deeply biological and infinitely digital.
The scale of our influence is genuinely staggering.
It is. And the question I want to leave you with today as you digest this massive stack of information is a question of optimization.
Okay.
As we relentlessly engineer our technology to process billions of tokens, and as we optimize our biology to combat disease at a microscopic level, are we remembering to optimize our humanity alongside it?
Oh, wow.
Right? When the ultimate pressure tests arrive, will the bridge we've built hold our society together, or will it fundamentally alter who we are?
That is the ultimate tension we all have to navigate. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive today. Keep questioning the systems around you, keep looking for the tipping points, and we will see you next time.